All right, hey guys, welcome to our second episode of the Elvis Diner. Good to see all you. Hopefully, you guys can join and hopefully get a notification that we are now live. Just give people a minute to join in and then we will get started. All right, got the comments going. What?
I'll put it over here.
All right, we got a couple people joining in. Just give it one more minute and we'll get started. All right, how's everyone doing today?
Are we good?
Yeah, go ahead and you can do a little chit chatting.
Well, welcome to the E Studio, Studio E. That's what we like to call it because Elvis recorded in Studio B, so we like to call this Studio E. Multi-million dollar production. Just kidding you, not multi-million dollar. Just something we throw together, and we kind of like our backdrop here. So this is stuff that's been in our collection that we just kind of like to put up here to give you guys something else to look at too. So we got a lot in store today, and what we're really excited about is hopefully you guys will be able to follow us along for the next few days because we are leaving basically late tonight, early tomorrow morning. As we never do, we never share where we're going because we like to keep it a secret until we get there, keep you guys in suspense. So we won't be sharing the destination, but we have got some unbelievable stuff hopefully coming your way if everything works out right. So please, if you see us go live over the next few days, we're going to be gone for about 4 days, bringing you full blast Elvis content. So we get excited about every trip, but we are probably more excited about this trip than I think that any trip that I can remember.
Right.
What do you say?
Oh yeah, especially what we're going to be doing is just something that we've never done before, and I'm looking really forward to it. But we'll be posting a lot of it on our Instagram, and eventually it'll come out on our YouTube page, which you're watching here. And I'm looking so forward to it. I like traveling, so this is going to be a really nice, real fun trip. So you guys are going to really enjoy what we're going to be doing.
And just for those people that have never been a part of our channel or whatever, this is something that we started. Elvis Diner is kind of a thing where Michael and I have talked over the years about, it would be really neat to do something online to where, the ideal thing would be is if we had like a place where, we could all go, like-minded people, and just talk Elvis. But since that would be impossible to do, really, we thought, except for Elvis Week, you get to do that a lot in Elvis Week, and have dinner with friends that you haven't seen in a long time. But what we're trying to do here is create a situation where you guys can kind of come in and we can all just sit around and basically talk, although be it digital. We still can do it to the best of our ability. We'll field questions, but it's more of a conversation. Michael and I have a lot of agreements between us as far as how we run things. One of the things being is that we don't talk down to people. We don't have that right really to do that because we're not know-it-alls. We do have a vast Elvis knowledge, but we can learn as well. So we want to open up dialogue. That's really why we started this, is open up a dialogue with the fans out there and just, kind of learn from each other and help each other along and learn some new things and meet people and people out there. We've met people that have been to Elvis concerts and we love interviewing them. So why don't you kick it off with feel free to jump in there anytime, guys.
Yeah, so before we go, somebody already mentioned, why don't you give a story on little friend?
Yeah, we want to introduce to you a part of our collection. This guy was part of Elvis's show during the summer festival in Las Vegas in 1972. They thought it'd be a great idea to have these dogs out in the lobby because, as you all know, Colonel Parker was, like that carnival kind of guy where he had, posters and signs and ribbons and banners and stuff like that. So they came up with this idea. It was made by the Smile Toy Company, and he's still got his tag. So he's 100% original. And Macon gets along well with him. For those of you that don't know who Macon is, Macon's our dog named after Macon, Georgia. So, yeah, so we've got him in our collection. Highly collectible, highly expensive. There were three sizes. There was a huge one that was like, I don't know, this tall that you can see pictures of him. Very rare to even see a picture of him, really, to be honest with you. There is one video that somebody did from a show in Vegas where Elvis was actually throwing them out. I don't know. It's believed that he threw a couple of this size out, but there was an even smaller one that was like this size. So that's kind of the story on him. He was part of the, like I say, the 1972 Summer Festival at the Hilton in Vegas. They were sold in the lobby. And like I say, he threw several of these out. You can go on YouTube, check out that video of him throwing out the dogs. But he's part of our collection. And we are very symbolic people. So we always try to attach something literally to everything that we do. So in this case, we named him Charlie after Charlie Hodge. And people may say, why after Charlie Hodge? Well, that would have been the guy that would have handed him these dogs on stage, just like he handed the scarves. So there's Charlie. And he's going to be going on our trip with us. It's going to be the only trip he's going to go on because we don't ever want to lose him. He means a lot to us. But he's going to go on this next trip, and you're going to learn in a few days why he went on this trip with us.
So we got a couple of questions that have been come in. We got some folks from Ireland, and we seen a couple other places, but some of your comments is actually a pretty good conversation piece. Good question. It said they just came off a live stream and somebody commented on that live stream that they thought Elvis was replaced after he came out of the army. What are your thoughts? Meaning like he became a little less popular when he left for the army, and then when he came back, people had like gone to other singers and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, no, actually, that is one thing that I think that was done pretty good as far as managing him. Is a lot of records were made prior to him leaving, so they were, he went over there to work, and as you know, many veterans that I've spoken to said that Elvis did a tremendous job as a soldier. That he jumped right in there and did his thing. So he's over there working, but yet management could release records as if he wasn't even gone.
Right.
Obviously, the performances stopped, but the records continued. The other thing you got to remember too, it was shortly thereafter the Beatles come on the scene, so there was that competition. Me personally, my opinion, if you're asking for it, I don't think he was replaced. I just think that competition got a little tighter because there for a long time he was the only dog on the scene. So,
and I assume that's how you were asking that question. Somebody asked, what record or song do you like best?
Well, that's a tough one because I've said so many times before, I've got, as I think most Elvis fans do, because his repertoire was so huge. But, kind of again, like I think everybody would say, depending on your mood, depending on, what you're doing. There's times for, I love a lot of the gospel songs that he did, Stand By Me, How Great Thou Art. I like those. As far as a live song, Steamroller Blues, Never Been to Spain. I think that's one of the most tremendous Bridge Over Troubled Waters. But I think that Never Been to Spain is one of the most phenomenal performances that he gave on stage, because just the sheer power with the orchestra and everything, just, letting go.
Yeah, my number one has always been Pokes Out Annie, regardless of, if it was in 69, if it was in 72, 77. Each kind of phase that he did that song, I like, because in like the early years when he was doing that, it was like the slow version, which I really liked. And then 72 was really fast. And then like 76, 77 is when he had a lot more horns into the song. So it sounded really good. So that's always been my favorite song My second favorite, which would be my first favorite studio song, would probably be "If I Were You" that he did in Nashville. I really like that song. It's on my Spotify. It's like at the top of my on repeat list. I
Right.
really like that song. How long have you both been Elvis fans?
I was been a fan since I've been in the womb. So that my mom was listening to Elvis. You know, she the first time she saw him was on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1956, and um, basically anybody that was around her at that time, she told me the story about when she first saw him on the Ed Sullivan Show. She said the people that were in the room with her thought she was losing her mind because she said, I've never seen anything like this guy. So I was brought up in this, just you might want to answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably most of my life too. Ever
You
since I can remember, I've been listening to Elvis
you
music.
didn't have a choice, right?
Honestly, so it's probably been a long time. Um, let's see, got some other ones floating in here. Trying to keep up. Um, what is your favorite Elvis concert recorded?
There again, the first live record that I can remember where it was purchased and then given to me was Madison Square Garden. That was in June of '72, and that that record will always be probably the most special. I mean, I've heard other great concerts. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Greensboro '72. There's so many great concerts out there, and that's part of my favorite tours were a lot of the '72 shows. But yeah, Madison Square Garden. I mean, it's really going to be hard to top that. I mean, those guys, everybody, the orchestra, the band, everybody's in top form that night, or those shows, I should say.
Yeah, I've always had like, well, not always, but two of them. Um, I like Kansas City '74 where he wore the American Eagle suit. I really like that. He was in a great mood, laughing, a lot of laughter. Um, so I really like that show. But I also like his Long Beach '72 show. We actually did a post on that recently. That was a really good set list. It was at end of '72, so he was doing a lot of, 70, 71, early '72 songs, and then he was kind of, grabbing a little bit of, what was to come in '73 and so on. So that was a really good set list that I really enjoy.
Charlie said he hates Hound Dog, the dog.
Yeah, I bet. Um, yeah, I noticed. Thank you for the microphone. I noticed that it kind of cut out, but I think I got it going. If y'all can hear me well, it looks like both of them are working now. So thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, we have a tremendous. You guys can't see it, but we have lighting and sound and everything here. So if anything ever cuts out, it's because they're not paying attention. We're just kidding. It's me and him, and he's got to pay attention to all this stuff. So if anything ever shuts off on us,
Yeah, I'm the one looking at the comments, cameras, audio. So if
Yeah.
anything pops up, just put a comment in there and I'll see if I can fix the issue.
we never know unless you tell us. So thank you guys for
Yeah.
being patient with us, and we're a kind of a fly by night operation here.
Nice. Okay, thank you. So y'all can hear me well. Okay, so yeah, we're just gonna for till about 1 o'clock our time. We're just gonna be answering questions, chit chatting. That's what we do during these. The first episode that we did, if you guys didn't see it, it's on our page under the lives tab. We went in and detailed Elvis on tour. We found scenes that people might not have known, like this is where this scene happened. He did this here. Things that you might not have seen watching it. And so if you didn't check that out, it's on our page, our YouTube channel under the live tab. So be sure to check that out. The intention of these diners is just, chit chat Elvis. It's a place where people can come in, ask questions, comments, talk to other people in the comments section, just a place for us to talk Elvis. So this is our first episode where we're going to be doing that. The first episode that we did was more of like an intro to what we were doing and trying to get people, to come join. So this is our first one where it's more of a conversation.
Yeah, so feel free. We're going to be trying to do these once a month. So feel free that when you see it come up that we're going to be doing one, we'll try to give you guys a little bit of advance warning, and then we'll send you out a message that says we're going to be doing it, the next day. So that'll give you a chance if you have questions or whatever. And then a lot of times, if you guys ask questions that we don't have an answer to, we'll be glad to go and figure those things out. If it has to do with the touring years, we usually know that information because we've been to so many of these places and researched them, and we've listened to just about every show that there is. And so we have that information kind of up here, but every now and then we get caught on something. So
Yeah, I'm just double checking. Somebody was asking a question. I just wanted to see if I could find anything. So I don't know if that's who they were referring to. Somebody said, yes, we are broadcasting from the East Coast. Have you ever attended any of the Elvis in concert shows with Elvis on the big screen? And if so, what do you think?
we did in Memphis, but not the.
Are you referring to the shows that they did at Graceland where it was Elvis on the screen and then his band on the stage? Just want to make sure that we answer this question correctly. If that is what you're asking, yes, we have. So we'll let you go in and see if that was what you were asking. So this is what I was double checking. I never heard anything, so I don't know if this is true. But somebody said, I was told that the guy that sang bass with JD and the Stamps on the Aloha concert passed away in a car wreck. Do y'all know anything about that? So Richard Sturban would have been. He wasn't there at the Aloha,
Right.
And then Larry Strickland wasn't. He came later. So
Right.
I think JD was the only bass singer.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to picture it in my head. What that looked like. Ed Enoch, J.D. Sumner,
Donnie Sumner,
Bill
Bill
Bays.
Bays, and there was that other one right next to JD. But I think he passed away a couple years ago. Forget his name.
Well, Ken, that's a good question.
I don't believe so. I've never seen
I
anything at somebody. I think the only person other than JD who passed away, I think late 90s. I think the only person that's passed away died from I don't think he died from a car wreck. But I may be wrong. I don't know. Somebody said, I saw Elvis August 24th, 1974 dinner show. Do you know if there is a show soundboard CD of that show? Well, I can look at it real quick for you and find out.
While he's looking that up, what we're going to do here right after he's done with that is we want to kind of open up a conversation, and he had an idea yesterday for one, and I want to go into that after he's done looking real quick at that. And I want to bring you guys into the conversation because we want to try to get a little bit of feedback on the topic that he wants to talk about. And as soon as he's done, we can go into that. So just with us for just a second.
While I look that up, my favorite. So somebody said, my favorite movie after Elvis passed away is This Is Elvis. What's yours?
As far as are they asking like a movie that was about him or something that he did or what? Like, I'll be honest with you. I really stayed away from the whole Hollywood scene as far as because I'm a guy that as anybody that's followed the channel knows that I'm very try to like follow the facts and I don't like years ago I remember when they did that one with Kurt Russell and they put that there. I forget what that movie was called, but I remember watching that and I don't know, you can't copy something, and I'm one of those people that I'm looking for everything to be exactly correct, and that's just never gonna there's no way that can happen, because the only way you can make it exactly correct is to basically rewind the tape of Elvis's life and then play it again. So that's the only way, and I'm the guy that's going to be sitting there going, no, that's incorrect. No, that's incorrect. No, he didn't wear that, that jumpsuit and during those years. So I wouldn't be a guy that you'd want to watch a post-death Elvis movie.
Right.
But what I will tell you is I love the documentaries. I love a lot of the I saw a great one the other night. It was called, if you go on YouTube, just type in Elvis the later years, and they had Joe Gershow in there. They had Sam Thompson in there. They had man, I can't think of all the people that they had in there, but I'd never seen it before. I didn't even know it was out, and it was about maybe a little longer than an hour, and just some really good stories in there. So that's the kind of stuff I want to hear from the people that were there. So, and we've met, what's nice about looking at that stuff now is over the years, we've met so many of those people, whether it be band members, backup singers, bodyguards. We've met a lot of those people, and it's nice that after you've met them, you see those things and you get to see, you're kind of hearing the same story. So.
All right, so I'm going to go back a little bit so we can catch up on these questions. So somebody was at the gentleman asking about the Aloha concert. And the person I was forgetting was Ed Hill. He passed away in July of 2020. I do not believe it was from a car wreck. It does not list it, but Ed Hill was the gentleman that passed away a couple years ago. Right. The person that was asking about the August 24, 74 dinner show, there's not a soundboard of the show, but there is an audience recording. So if you just type in on YouTube, Elvis August 24th, 1974 dinner show, it should pop up. If you're not able to find that, just email us, elvisbackontour@gmail.com, and we can help you out there.
So that we can truly live up to what we say we're going to do in the diners. Is let's get back to opening up the conversation with a topic where we can bring the people that have been kind enough to join us today. Right. Let's do that topic that you discussed, and then let's start seeing what the folks out there have to say.
We do have a couple more questions. Do you just want to quickly answer these?
Yeah, let's do those, and then we'll move on to the topic.
Somebody said the man who says Elvis has left the building died in a car crash a few years ago. Mm-hmm. That sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. So that's probably who we're talking about. Right. I was referring to the concert tours with the TCB band that toured US and Europe with Elvis on the big screen. Did they do that at the Pyramid in Memphis? Is this the one you attended? I think it was the same setup where Elvis was on the big screen and the band was on the stage. They did that I think they do that at Graceland.
To a much smaller level.
We went to the one at Graceland in 2019, so we were able to see the original band members on stage.
The one they're talking about, I think, is the one that was filmed.
The 25th anniversary.
At the Pyramid at 25th anniversary. Yeah. That was a much bigger. They actually toured on that deal.
Somebody said, I really like The Searcher. I really like that documentary that came out. That was really well done.
Yeah. And again, that's one of those documentary things. That's not they don't have actors coming in and doing their thing. So,
did you want to talk about Agent Elvis?
No.
Okay.
So let's go on to the topic that you brought up yesterday, and let's start that off, and then we can kind of.
Which topic? I brought up a couple.
When you were talking about the youth and
yeah. So I brought up the topic that we could talk about, the new generation of Elvis fans, especially with the new movie that just came out this past summer. I have a lot of friends who, are not huge Elvis fans. I mean, they'll listen to his song if it's on the radio, but I had a lot of friends that went to see the movie and, they've become Elvis fans. And so they were asking me, questions from that movie. Did this happen? How did this happen? Things like that. So I think with the movie and, just the music that's being, constantly pushed on the radio in a good way, there's just this new generation of Elvis fans that hopefully if we can on, social media and talking to people, we can get a new generation that'll continue to carry on his legacy. So, what do you, and along with the folks watching, what do you all think of the new generation of Elvis fans coming in?
Yeah. So this is your turn, guys, to kick in, your comments here and let us hear what you have to say. I've told Michael for years that we've been doing this, that I'm just so fascinated, especially like when we go down to Memphis, whether it be Elvis Week or any other time, we go down there in April or whatever, and it's the same thing. But seeing all these younger people, and that amazes me because, well, it doesn't amaze me because I know what I know now about Elvis, and people have asked me, what do you think that is that, keeps him so relevant to today. And I think that people are looking for they're looking for something. They're looking for, and when you start looking into Elvis's life, you can find a lot of comfort in the fact that one, his music is obviously comforting. His music is fun, um, and then in my opinion, Elvis is so multifaceted. He's going to appeal to so many different groups of people, like we just mentioned, like the veterans.
Mm.
It's they're going to be kind of impressed. I would assume, if I was a veteran, which thank God for every veteran that has served this country. Um, I'm thinking if I'm a veteran, uh, I'm looking at Elvis and I'm going, he could have taken easy path out, but he didn't. He went over there and served and did his job, to the best of the
Right.
ability that he could. Yeah, he had thousands of people following him around, but he still did his job. Um, you've got the people, you've got that aspect of Elvis, the humanitarian part, where once you get in there and start looking at the stuff that he did for people, um, be fine. It really would be hard to find somebody that was kinder to people. And when you get in there and start digging up the stories of stuff that he did for people, it would really be hard to top that. So I think that's what it's all about. He's I guess to sum it up, he's multi-dimensional. It's not just, oh, he was a great singer, or great, like a lot of these guys, you look at some of these entertainers, oh, they're a great guitar player, but what else did they do? With Elvis, the list is long. So,
Yeah. So what's your opinion? Do you guys think, there's a big group of a new generation coming along, or, what are your thoughts on that? This is a conversation, so, we just want to keep it going.
yeah.
Somebody said, my aunt from Ireland lived in NYC and went to the 72 concert in Madison Square Garden. That is a very good show that she went to. Very lucky person. Um, so, yeah, just feel free to pop in some question, guys. Keep the conversation going.
What are your thoughts continue with your thoughts on what you were saying about the youth and what they.
I mean, at I guess before the movie came out, before there was all this stuff about Elvis, like on social media and in the news about the movie coming out, there wasn't this huge discussion among the youth that there is now and was during the
Right.
time of the movie. So I do think that um, the movie helped, and it's going to help the new generation, because there are a lot of people that I saw that, especially people my age. Austin Butler was in a lot of kid shows when I was younger. So when he was announced that he was going to star as Elvis, a lot of people my age recognized the name. And so I think a lot of people that went to see it wanted to see Austin Butler. And so now I've seen, on social media, these people my age that are now Elvis fans because of the movie, because of the music that's come out. So I definitely think that the movie helped. And like I said, hopefully that this generation, we can just keep growing and growing, and so that we can continue to carry Elvis's legacy on for many, many years. So,
Yeah, I agree. You had a second. You told me you had a couple topics. So what was your second one that you wanted to discuss?
I think
Okay. Okay. Um, a couple questions that I was thinking of yesterday, for you, and this might allow people to jump in there too, is, um, the touring years and things like that. A lot of what we talk about is Elvis on the road. And I have often had people ask me what were, my favorite tours, like what, there were shows, where you could take like your favorite show, but then there were tours where if you took the entire tour, you go, man, he was literally on fire for the entire tour. And I've taken, I had 3 open slots and I stuck in those 3 tours that I wanted to be, where I just thought it was great from beginning to end. Do you have 3 that stand out to you, that
certain what
tours?
it's always changed for me. I think I think if you were to go to like 69 when he first got back, you could tell that he was nervous, going back on tour. So he was real. There was a lot of energy that was like waiting to come out. And then by 72, he had, figured out how he wanted to do his shows and everything. But each tour is kind of different from the other in the sense that, in 72, he had a lot of energy on stage and he was really interacting with the crowd, even though he did that on all the other tours. But then if you get to 77, obviously, his energy wasn't there, but his vocals were much, much greater. So not necessarily there's certain tours that I can pick out, but I feel like each year there was different, something changed, where, like the older that he got, the vocals got better and better.
Mm.
So that's something that I picked up on. Somebody made a great point, and someone said, "New fans are obviously the future, but what concerns me are those that see images of ETAs and think it's Elvis. Then there is the negative perception of the film." Yeah, I totally see what you're saying. Where the ETAs, people think that that's Elvis. I can't speak on behalf of ETAs because I'm not one, but I feel like every ETA has their own like perception of Elvis, so that's how they use it. Some do a decent job at it, some don't do a decent job at it. But I definitely see what that's a great point. Um,
That's something, just so you guys know where we stand. I mean, a lot of times we have opinions, but you've heard me say this before. There's so many ways that we like to follow Elvis's lead, and how he handled some things. And like I've told you guys in the past, I've learned a lot since I was following him. My dad wasn't around, so it was kind of like I would, look at these press conferences and these interviews and things like that, and I would see the way Elvis spoke to people, and I'd see the way he handled things. And believe it or not, I learned a lot from that 72 Madison Square Garden press conference where he was asked, to give his opinion on things. And, I said, I'd like to just keep that, those opinions to myself. And I learned that at a really early age. And we do have opinions on things, but like he said, we try to keep those to ourselves because um, we're really big on not no controversy, not inflaming other people, because with the way we do things, everybody's entitled to go out and do a video, everybody's entitled to do a podcast, everybody's entitled to do any of this stuff. And the way we look at it, you go out and do your thing. We just try not to comment on a lot of stuff because we don't want to offend anybody or upset anybody. So that's kind of the way we go on a lot of that stuff. So we hope you guys would respect that. And in other words, we don't like being really, we just don't want to get in the fray on some of this stuff. So
um, he tried different songs in 74, but soon went back to the usual set list. Yeah, I mean, there were songs in 75, 76, 77 that he hadn't done that he started doing. But yeah, once 74, towards the tail end of 74, he started going back to just sticking with the same songs. What's your favorite Elvis memory that you have with each other, like a certain trip that you made good memories with each other?
that's every trip. I don't think that we were talking about this the other day. I don't think we've had a bad trip. I mean, honestly, every venue that we've ever been to, we're treated like we're some kind of special people, and they just treat us tremendously. We we've shared with you guys in the past how we've again, we don't believe in ghosts, but we have shared with you guys that we do feel a strong energy there. um and then we had somebody tell us one time on a comment that no, you don't feel, that's for us to decide because we're there. We're there in the building, and some buildings you do feel, you literally feel like he just left, a few minutes before. Some buildings you don't, so um but I would have to say, if we had to nail it down, I think you and I go back to Rapid City just about every time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
where he performed the CBS special, a
Yeah.
lot of that was filmed there. And when we went there, that was all exactly the same. The paint scheme, the hallways, was all exactly the same, like you see it on the CBS special. So that was a special building to us.
Trip as a whole, um, I liked 2020. We went to Texas and New Mexico, and that was a really good trip. I really enjoyed that one. What did you think of the latest clip of Elvis coming off the plane? I believe they're talking about St. Louis when that just came out a couple weeks
Oh,
ago.
any of that stuff I love. That's my wheelhouse, man. I love any of that. And I was telling him a while back, and maybe you guys will agree with this. I personally believe that you're going to see more of that right now, and I'll tell you why. Because um, there's a lot more stuff out there that is in a drawer somewhere. That if you just let's just take my mom for instance. She passed away in 2013, but she would have been right in her prime, in her 30s, going to see Elvis. Like when we almost saw him in Richmond that time, just missed him. Uh, if we would have attended that concert, she takes photos and say she puts them away in a drawer and they're forgotten about. And then she passes away. And then I have to go in there and go through her stuff. And I open up an envelope and I go, what is this? And I think that's what we're running into right now, because a lot of those people, not all, but a good majority of those people now are, unless they were children when they went to the show, but the people who were actually taking the pictures at those shows, they're in their, if they were 30 then, and that's 50 years ago, that's 80 years old. So I think a lot of those, you're going to start to see a lot of concert photos. You're going to start to see a lot of memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a lot, but you're going to see more than you ever saw before. And you're starting to see some unseen photos now of concerts. And I think that's where it's coming from, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
So somebody was asking, what are our names? I'm Michael. He's Jay. Some folks that are new might not know that. So there you go. Are you going to tour the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee? We've actually been there many, many times. And every year that we go, it's getting more and more like worse.
Well, you 100% cannot get it. We've entered it, but now it's to the point that you can't even, I think when we were there in August, it's completely boarded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got that thing secured. I mean, big time.
We were there in April of 2022, and we met a gentleman that actually had a key to get in the building, but they had put locked gates around that, so even he couldn't get into the building. So I don't know. I haven't checked what the update on that building is, because they're building something right across the street. They're building a big sports complex facility. So I don't know if the Mid-South is on the chopping block. I know that it has been in the past, but there's just been a lot of support from people to keep the building up and renovated.
Coming back every time we hear, it's done this time it's going to be imploded, and you go back down there and it's still sitting there. But
if anybody knows if they've seen an update on that building, drop it in the comments, because we haven't seen anything since.
For those of you guys that are going to be going through Texas anytime soon, if you're going to go through Fort Worth, go see the Tarrant County Coliseum. That we did a video on that several years ago. That is on the chopping. That's going to be history. And some of these, for those of you that are new to our channel, if you don't know about our channel, please go to YouTube and type in Elvis Back on Tour, and you'll see all the videos that we put up. Elvis performed in 130 cities while he was on tour during the 1970s, starting in 70 and then ending in 77. And we've been to about 100 of those buildings. The ones that remain are a few that we just haven't been to yet. And the rest of those are ones that were torn down before we got there. So,
yeah, they're, it's sad because, we'll be sitting there and we'll see that a building that we've been to has been demolished. And it's like not only Elvis history, but, other people that have performed. There's just so much history for each building that it's like, it's gone. But, it happens. But there are still a lot that are still up and probably will not be demolished anytime soon.
We tell people all the time, please go out there and see these things. I mean, we're going to keep bringing this stuff to you guys, but please go out there and, a lot of them are tough to get into. Sometimes depends on where you are, but sometimes you can go up and ask, but that's not the way we do it. But because usually we have like an itinerary where we have to follow it almost to the minute to get through what we've got to get through. But yeah, go out there and check out these buildings before they go, because they just they're a lot of these cities are they have these venues that were built in the 50s and 60s that they seated what was correct for the population at the time. And now these cities, we get people all the time on our, why did he perform in these small buildings? It's because that's what was there. There were very few cities. um, you know, Elvis did a lot of these mid-sized cities. He didn't only just do, Chicago and Detroit. He had to do some of these mid-sized cities. And if you think about it, it's just the numbers. If you go back 50 years, these mid-sized cities were not heavily populated, so they're not going to build a building in one of those towns that seated 25, 30,000. They just weren't going to do it because there wasn't the need for it.
Mhm.
So a lot of these buildings that he performed in during the touring years seated about 12, 13, 15,000, with some of them being like higher, like Madison Square Garden, 20,000,
Chicago Stadium.
Greensboro, 20,000, those type of places, Chicago Stadium, Olympia in Detroit. uh, yeah, those are going to be big because they're in big cities. So hope that helps you on why he toured or why he did some of the smaller venues.
It would have been nice to visit the Silverdome in
Pontiac,
Pontiac.
Michigan. Yeah.
That would have been, because that was like 62,000, I think,
Yeah.
somewhere right in that ballpark. That was his biggest show, so that would have been nice to tour. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, I wanted to kind of shoot out the three tours that I really enjoyed, because I wanted to see, if anybody chimes in on what I narrowed mine down to. Um, Anybody knows I love, my favorite years were 72, 74, 75. I was fascinated by those shows and by the suits that he wore during those shows. Um, 72, April, incredible. The tour from beginning to end. A lot of that had to do with he had to be on his game because of the movie was being filmed during that tour. June 72, when he goes, is actually 4 for me. So um, the June tour, 72, Madison Square Garden, Chicago, Milwaukee, places like that. They were on fire. The guy, it was incredible. Um, and then March 74 tour, one of the longest tours that he did, lengthwise. Incredible tour. And then 75, the end of May going into June 75. If you get a chance, go in and listen to those shows. Those were some of the most phenomenal shows. And then, I was a big fan of all the years that Elvis toured. 76, those were just rough years. And there were some tough shows in there for him where he really had a rough time. But we all do. I mean, doing this, we did one of these podcasts a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, man, we weren't on top of our game there. And we'll freely admit that when we're not on top of our game. But just every now and then you have a bad day, and we had a bad day on that. And it was just like when he was on tour, he had some rough days. And so 76. But then surprisingly, what I'll come back and tell you is 77. I love 77 because, man, I'm telling you, and I'm a huge advocate of this. I don't know where you stand. Well, I think I do, but the voice in 77
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, was just incredible.
Yeah.
And you listen to some of, listen to Hurt, 1977, listen to Bridge Over Troubled Water in Indianapolis on June 26th. Tell me what you think of that voice.
Yeah. Because I guess when I was answering the question, I did it in a roundabout way, but I guess my top 3 would be, my favorite tour that he did was the June, early July 74 tour. That was my favorite tour he did. He was in a great mood, great energy, just a great tour overall. My second would be April 72. And then my third would be his April 75. I like the set lists and the sound they had, but I also I really am a big fan of those two-piece suits that he wore with the ornaments on the shoulders. I really love those outfits. I think he looked really good in them. So that April May '75 tour was
And then,
good.
like clockwork, people are going to come on here and ask us, how do you find these shows? We have a lot of these shows. We have most of these shows on our in our collection on CD, but uh, you can go on YouTube and just enter in, if you want to enter in a city, try that. You can enter in a date. You can enter, whatever, however you want to do it. You can enter it in, and then go in there and listen to it. But if you want to hear Elvis in a great mood, uh, go to Shreveport, the Shreveport show in '75. Actually, any show from March or from May, what was it, May 31st through uh,
I think
May through June, the end
yeah,
of May
early
to,
yeah.
to early June. That tour right there that I just mentioned was one of my favorites. Phenomenal voice, just phenomenal voice and phenomenal mood. The guy was in a great mood. I would have loved to have known. If you listen to enough of these concerts, you'll find yourself asking, wonder what like sometimes he's in a bad mood and you got to wonder, what was that all about? But then when he's in these great moods, you're sitting there going, what was going on in his life where he's, this amped up, just in a great mood.
Um, I wish that he would have toured outside the United States. Yeah, I mean,
Everybody does.
you never. It's nice to think about what it would have been like, because I think he said he wanted to go to Europe, Japan.
Yeah.
That was a big country that
Asia loved. I mean,
yeah.
Elvis was big everywhere,
Right.
but I guarantee you could go in some of the furthest depths of like a jungle and ask somebody, "Hey,
Right.
who's Elvis?" And hey, Hound Dog.
Yeah, I mean, and you can only imagine how big the arenas that he would have been performing in would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Big shows. Any other questions, conversations?
Now, there's something that I would like to discuss. Since this is kind of like a diner, and everybody's pulling up a chair and just talking, and that's all this is meant. And a lot of this is going to be your opinions, his opinion, my opinion, Charlie's opinion. One thing that we get asked a lot of times, what did you think about the, and I kind of touched on this a little while ago, but I just, for some reason, I just feel the need to kind of go back into this. But people will ask, about what did you feel about certain bodyguards, and we talked about this in the last, in the last thing that we just did here a few days ago. But they'll ask about bodyguards, and they'll ask our opinion on what did we think of Colonel Parker and stuff like that, and I just, like I said before, we got our opinion on that, and we just really stay away from it. To me, I kind of look at it like, as far as you know, relationships that Elvis had, for whatever reason, just like with anybody, Elvis, they were important people to Elvis, and if they had a falling out, then they had a falling out. That didn't mean Elvis didn't care about him, but you know if they were in Elvis's life, they were important to him. So I just, that's kind of like my thing on that. So
Somebody was saying you never hear much about the June tour of '73. I saw him in St. Louis June 28th, which now is out on video and audio. His shows at the time showed his voice was through the roof.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't hear a lot about June '73. Thought we did a post or something about his Pittsburgh show there. And he performed Atlanta on my birthday that year.
Mm-hmm.
I think those were one of the 3 shows that he performed on my birthday. But yeah, you don't hear a lot from that tour.
And I've always asked guys that, that work for him, whether it be, like I met Charlie Hodge one time, and then we've met other people. And then I met some other guys that worked in, as far as his bodyguards were concerned. And I would always, I'm always asking them the strangest questions, because, they get tired of hearing, what was your favorite Elvis song, or what was your favorite, I go up and I ask the technical based on what we do, because I already know a lot of that other stuff. So I want to go up and ask the questions, like the technical stuff, like, okay, exactly what was your guys, benchmark for getting Elvis off the stage, and just asking like the technical stuff, because that's what we do. We go to these buildings, and those are the things I want to know. And but I just really enjoyed just going and talking to those guys with regards to the the technical aspect of the job, and
Mhm.
I think you do as well, right? When we're meeting these guys and
Yeah.
getting to hear what they have to say. But one of the things that I enjoy the most is when I ask them, what was questions like, what was Elvis's favorite city? And the one that we got back time and time and time again, he loved performing in Atlanta.
Mhm.
We heard that. I don't know from how many people we
Mhm.
heard that Atlanta. Said he had other places that he loved to go to, other states that he loved to perform in, cities that he loved to perform in. But for whatever reason, he loved Atlanta.
And we actually spoke to one of the members of the group, the band, and they said, well, that specific person said they liked performing in Tahoe. When they would go to Lake Tahoe, they really liked performing there. Don't know if Elvis liked performing there, but some of the band members said that they did like performing in Lake Tahoe.
Right.
We get asked this most live streams, most videos that we do. Somebody was asking, is that banner real or is it a replica?
That banner was a gift to us because of what we do. The person that gifted that to us, it's made on the exact same material. Uh, the the person researched it out and the banner people that make those things, they know. I can't think of the name of that. That's material, something.
Or no.
It's some kind of oil cloth.
Yeah.
I forget. There's a technical name for it, but they researched it to the point that they used. That is exact. If you pull up a picture of Madison Square of Elvis on stage in Madison Square Garden, that is exactly how the banner looked during that show because people would rub up against it and they would scratch off the paint on the lettering, and so the person when it was made, which it cost a lot of money to make it that way, from what I understand, um, it's exactly the way it was, when it was used in Madison Square Garden. So no, that is a redo. The ones that are still out there are almost beyond being able to be
Right.
afforded, really, to be honest with you. But everything else in our collection is 100% the real deal. That was one of the nicest gifts that we've ever been gifted for, for just doing what we do. And we just thought that was one of the coolest things that people love what we do enough to do something like that.
So our good friend Patty
Patty,
was asking to all viewers on here, NJ and Michael, who was your favorite bodyguard? Mine was Dick Grove.
hands down.
For me, it would be Dick Grove and Sam Thompson. Those would be
Yeah.
my two. We were fortunate enough to meet Mr. Thompson in Memphis in August. Very nice guy. He's got a lot of stories. We actually went to it was like a little conversation that him and Charles Stone did, and they had a lot of stories, a lot of funny stories that showed a different side of Elvis stories that we hadn't heard before that were really funny.
Just really nice human beings. I mean, I think what stood out to me with Dick Grove was that when the times we met him and spoke with him, we're talking about stuff that he did. We're talking about, his job. I don't know if there's a lot of people that ever came up and talked technical stuff about, what was it like to be on tour with Elvis and do the security stuff. But that's the stuff that fascinated us. So when we're asking him, I think he got really excited because it's like, wow, somebody's asking me something about what I did. And then, man, it was off to the races then. And I think he smoked about a pack of cigarettes during the conversation. But man, talk about a real deal. That guy was a real deal. And and there again, I think that's why I was trying to say what I said before is that, a lot of times people like set their sights on, if you mention, well, you liked a certain person and, well, now I don't like you because you like that. That's, to me, that's nonsense because it's, we don't, we see these people, we meet these people. I'm not going to gauge an entire relationship on what his relationship or her relationship was with Elvis 50 years ago. It doesn't matter. And I've said that time and time before. It's, whatever happened back in the day is what happened back in the day. And the people that we have left, we're not going to have them forever. So if you meet them, put that stuff behind you and just go meet the person and hear the stories they have to tell.
Right. Um, we'll start wrapping it up.
Yeah, we'll start wrapping up because we got to get ready to get on the road. We got to fly out of here at dark 30. So
Yeah, he's not kidding. So, yeah, for the last couple of minutes, if you guys have any last couple questions left, we'll try to answer them. Got about 5 more minutes. We'll try to answer those as best as we can.
as we're wrapping up, we just want to remind everybody we'll do one of these once a month, and you guys can come on here and do just what we did today. And we truly considered, and we're about as straightforward people as you can get. We consider this an honor when we come on here and spend time with you guys, because we're all in this together. We like the same guy, and our only goal here, we're not monetized in any way, that we are not paid for anything we do. Nobody sends us money. That doesn't happen. We do this only to just further, Elvis's legacy, to teach the stuff that we know to other people, so that maybe they hear a story that they haven't heard before and they find it fascinating, and then they do. And another thing that I always suggest to people is, Michael talked in the last video that we did about going down these rabbit holes, and I strongly suggest that if you really want to learn so much more about Elvis, is go down these rabbit holes, find out who he listened to, and then go learn about that person and see where they're from. And there's always a cool little line in there that takes you back to the same place, where, like in Elvis's case, like the blues, the Delta blues, stuff like that. There's just so many links in there that are just cool. And it goes back to what I said the other day about the quilt. Everybody in my mind is made up as a quilt, and there's many, many thousands of strands in that quilt that make up that person. And those strands are, the people that loved and cared about him, and the people that he loved, and the people that he cared about. So those are all the things that make him up. So go in there and start pulling those strands out, and then look at that strand and then see why it meant so much to him. And then you might learn a little bit more about him.
Yeah. So, since doing our first episode of a live, we've posted a couple more videos. If you go to our YouTube channel, Elvis Back on Tour, which is probably where you're watching this, we did a video on Charlotte Coliseum, and we did 2 videos where we were down here discussing 2 different topics, one being Elvis Stuck by Thorns and Hot Horns in Houston. So be sure to check those out on our page, and be sure to subscribe to our page. Somebody was saying that they did get a notification. So if you go to our page and you subscribe, there's a little bell, click that. You'll be notified when we go live or post a new video. And when you watch the video, be sure to let us know what you thought.
Yeah, the Stuck by Thorns, we kind of look back on that video now, we laugh at it, because we were off that night, man. We're probably the ones that should have been stuck by thorns that night to kind of wake us up, but we were off, and we're not going to sit here and make an excuse. So we really don't know. I think we were just kind of fogged out that night and just kind of went through. And so we apologize for that. We truly do. We try to get it right, and we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. But I think you'll still enjoy the content. Just kind of erase us out of the video. But
yeah, even though we were kind of like fogged out, the content and the stories behind it are really good.
You'll like the content. Now we got Charlie here with us. He's going to keep us straight, and you're going to see Charlie over the next 4 days. Charlie's going to take a long trip with us. So we hope that you guys will tune in. We're going to pop up for like the next 4 days, some lives from the locations we're going to. So hopefully,
so
see that.
If you have Instagram or Facebook, be sure to follow us. It's everything on all social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Elvis Back on Tour, same name. If we're more active on Instagram, so for the next couple of days, follow us on Instagram, and we're going to be going live. We're going to be posting videos, photos, all sorts of things. So please be sure to check that out, because it's going to be a really good trip with a lot of great content. You really do not want to miss it.
Yeah, and out of all and the last thing I'll say, well, maybe next to last thing I'll say, but one of the last things I'll say is that out of all the trips we've done, this one, content-wise, is probably going to be, if it all works out, we don't want to jinx it, but if it all works out, it's we are so ecstatic about it because the content that we're going to have is just going to be mind blowing and going to bring you a lot of good Elvis stories. And but we don't want to ruin it by giving you all the information. So we're going to give you a little piece at a time, and we're going to be very controlled and metered about that so that you guys can get excited along with us. And but we're super excited about. There's this one thing that's going to take place on this deal. There's going to be a lot, but there's going to be this one thing that takes place. I pray that it all works out, but if it does, you guys are going to be amazed at what we're able to pull off. So.
Yeah, so for last 60 seconds, as of now, are any of you guys planning on going to Memphis for Elvis Week? They just released a schedule, so if you guys are planning on going, let us know. We hope to see you there. We're planning on going down there.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would. Oh yeah, so we will kind of keep you all updated on our story on Instagram, and then once we get back from the trip, we'll kind of put everything together. Don't know how much material we're gonna have. It's gonna be a lot, so we don't know if what we're gonna do is gonna be put into multiple videos, or how it's gonna be. Once we get back, we'll figure that out, and then we'll post all that on YouTube. So if you want the most recent information about what we're doing and where we are, follow us on Instagram, and then once we get back, then we'll start doing stuff on YouTube.
Right.
So, and we also are on Facebook as well, so you can keep updated there. So hopefully you guys will watch us, and we hope to see you guys in the comment section. And I think
before we close out, just give a couple shout outs to some accounts that you and I've been talking about, some accounts here recently. Some people have just been popping up on the scene here lately, and we always love to do this because I'm going to tell you there were some accounts out there when we first started this. When we got our fifth follower on Instagram, we thought we were living high, but now we're doing pretty good, and so we try to look back and remember those people that kind of like what Elvis did. He never forgot where he came from. So we kind of look back and remember those first few weeks doing this, and we like to give shout outs to accounts as well. So,
yeah, the names that we're getting ready to give are on Instagram. Don't know if they're on Facebook or YouTube or not, but this is for Instagram. Some that have really helped us and supported us. You got Elvis Tour 1972.
Mm-hmm.
You got people that we met in Memphis in August. You got who I just saw, Boston Rachel, met down there in Memphis. You got Nadia, Blue Eyed Elvis, Travis from Daily Elvis Posts, really good channel there. You got Hyder, or Ator, I believe is how his name is pronounced. Guitarist, really good. If you want some good guitar playing, follow Ator. It's HEITOR _TCB. Give him a follow. Really good. God, there's so many, but
Paul Sweeney, the
Paul
author.
Sweeney, yeah. God, there's just so many. Always Elvis Fan Club.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy there.
We're going to start making up a list because we're really big on this. We're really big on when we notice the content. We really do. We go on there and we look, and I'll come to him and I'll say, "Man, look at this. Look at this lady here, this guy here that really is putting out some phenomenal stuff and just high quality content and just interesting things. So this is what keeps it going. And it's a lot of people look at this like a competition, like I've got to somehow win the race. It's for us, it's not a race. It's about just getting in the game and everybody playing. That's what it is about for us. So we're not competing with anyone. We have a tremendous passion for what we do, and we love collecting Elvis memorabilia, especially concert memorabilia. So if you have anything you want to get rid, we have a nice ticket collection. So if you have multiples of a ticket or something, contact us, and if we don't have it, we'll take it.
And a good YouTube channel to check out. Good supporter of ours. He interviewed us a while ago. Is Mark's Elvis for Everyone channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the title of his page. Give him a follow. He's a really nice guy. Really good content. He collects a lot of records and everything. So if you're into that, be sure to follow him there. So there's a ton of other people that have helped us, but we're going to start posting that because there's just so many that the list would just be this long. So we'll start posting that. But we really appreciate everyone that's given us support and follows. We can't thank you enough. So,
and then one last thing before you go to Ed. I can't think of the guy. He's in New York that does the scarf. He's got a major collection, but he's got the scarves that I just cannot.
Right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. We shouldn't be doing this. We should already have it, but it popped into my mind. And if you go on there and you look, his mom and dad were involved with a fan club. I think they, the founders of the fan club. Actually, over there, we had the pin over there somewhere, but they were the founders, and they would go and see him all over the place, and saw him in Vegas and
King's Corner.
Yeah, went back and King's Court, right?
Court, yes.
They'd go backstage, and his mother was given scarves, and just, I mean, unbelievable. But anyway, he does a lot of really cool videos with regards to the scarves. And so if you want to check out some of that stuff, really cool guy, and just down to earth, and kind of like people that we love to be around, and just down to earth folks, and just great channel. So yeah, go take a look at that.
Yeah. So with that said, we're going to get off here and we're going to start preparing for our trip tomorrow. We got to get up really early. So like I said, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Elvis Back on Tour. We're going to post on there so you guys can see where we are and what we're up to. So that being said, I guess,
we got some packing to do, and we're getting excited. So when you see us pop up on there, try to tune in and take a look at where we're at, and we're going to try to surprise you guys.
All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.
Have a great day, guys.